We want to make sense of a radical transformation in people's way of life. Okay? So radical transformation in the way people lived. Peasants became artisans, industrialists, or workers. They migrated from villages to cities. Right? Radical transformation in the way people live. High levels of migration. Radical transformation in the way, and let me put this there, this is P-O-L-A-N-Y-I. Yeah, P-A. Okay. So this is the great transformation, right? Radical transformation in people's way of life. Very high levels of migration. Peasants became artisans, industrialists or workers. They migrated from villages to cities. They moved from closed church-based societies to open secular communities, right? Increase in sort of secularism. Most important to Polanyi was the newness of the society gained only on gain and the very rapid end of the social. I'll read that again. Most important to Polanyi was the newness of a society based only on gain. The newness of a society based only on gain. I mean, just well written, right? So the newness, I love how that sounds. The newness of a society based only the newness of a society based only on gain. The newness of a society based only on gain, right? The newness of a society based only on gain and the very rapid end of the social, in which previously mankind has always been embedded, right? Sort of social contract theory type stuff. A society in which all members had relations of obligation and reciprocity to all others gave way to one in which individuals in their different roles were cut off from each other. So we've transitioned, right? This transformation also results in a transition, right? We've gone from a state of affairs like this to a state of affairs like this. Right? We've gone from a state of affairs like this to a state of affairs like that. So, a society, some people would say this is actually not a bad thing, but I'm just trying to say what's going on here. A society in which all members had relations of obligation and reciprocity, gave way to one in which individuals in their different roles were cut off from each other and related to each other only within the marketplace. So, yeah, I might have to do a lecture series on the Great Transformation, right? Epically deep stuff. The only time that we actually get this connection, right, is to go into, and of course the marketplace has got to be green, right? The only time we ever have connection to each other is through the marketplace, right? And then obviously back the other way. So there isn't a direct connection between individuals living within a society through reciprocity. There's been a transformation, and this is like a huge, like I'm consolidating a lot of information, but there's been a transformation in the way that we interact with each other. To be technical, the recognition of the other as understood in terms of alterity has been subordinated to the rise of global capitalism, such that the interaction with the other is only properly understood in terms of one's interaction with the marketplace. I'll give you an example because I know that's deep. But now, instead of acting directly, we act through the marketplace. So I'll give you a contemporary example. I, conceptually, I'm married, but let's just say I'm a young kid and I'm on Facebook. And I love the idea that you can meet people and actually engage in a relationship in a virtual community. I think that's the coolest thing ever. Just personally because I'm a nerd and I'm a geek, right? So imagine that this was young Jason, and my young wife, who wasn't my wife at the time, She's a young girl. Obviously, we fell in love before the internet. I know you're like, what the hell does this have to do? I'm taking a very, very, very complicated concept and trying to make it really simple. So she lives in she lives in Iowa. So I log on and we chat on Facebook and we Skype and such and I want to connect with her. The way that I connect with her, you say, well, Skype is free. Yeah, but your cable bill isn't free. And the internet connection that you use that gives you the ability to connect with her requires you to pay some money, right? And Facebook has that feature where you can send someone a virtual gift, which I think is the most amazing idea ever. So let's say it's her birthday and I want to send her a virtual card on Facebook, and I buy credits on Facebook, right? But I use real money to buy credits to send her a virtual card. And let's say our relationship escalates and I actually want to be the first person, I'm sure someone's already done this, right? I want to be the first person to propose to somebody, let's say virtually on Facebook. So I buy one of those virtual rings that you can buy on Facebook, right? So I buy her a virtual diamond ring on Facebook and I send it to her and I post it on her profile and she opens it up and What the example in a very general sense, and it's a bad example, it's not really, it's a great example, but the example is really sort of rudimentary, is that my connection with her is only viable and facilitated insofar as my interaction is through this prevailing structure. It's no longer, you live next door, I'm here, we meet up and walk to the pond. It's we engage in, now to take it a little bit deeper, we, individuals within society, interact only insofar as that interaction is facilitated by a larger global structure. That structure is global capitalism, right? So that's what's being said. And we've transitioned, right? We've transitioned in society. This, surprisingly, is going to lead to what is classified as the second great transformation, right? This concept of Polanyi's great transformation, it segues perfectly into what the author of the section of the analysis is going to discuss, which is globalization, right? So that we take Polanyi's concept of the Great Transformation, a recognition on the mobility of individuals, which obviously affects us in 21st century, which is obviously a prerequisite to global, both socio-economic, socio-cultural, and political landscape. All of that becomes relevant, right? There is a very real sense in which the community is far more mobile. There's a very real sense in which individuals who, like Moses McCormick, shout out to Moses, a dude like Moses McCormick, that dude's a gem, right? Because he can talk 40 different languages. So hey, I can go over here and do business with these people and communicate with these people, and then I can pick up my virtual backpack with a laptop and go live somewhere else and interact with other people, right? There's a rise in sort of the migration and the flexibility in which we move around. Obviously, all of this is buttressed on knowing various languages and cultures, but all of these concepts give rise to globalism, right? So now we shift to a proper, I had to give you sort of conceptually, and this is a huge generalization. I actually might do a bona fide lecture series on it because I think it's fascinating in and of itself, but this is, for the time that I have, this is as much detail as I'm going to get into on that. So 3A on page 6, 3A, this idea of the Great Transformation describes the transformation from social to an individualistic economic and socioeconomic structure, right? The transformation in the socioeconomic structure. And that in itself is a bit of a generalization. 3B, and I just explained conceptually how that works, roughly. 3B, most importantly, because really and truly this is not what the point of the lecture is, but it is good background information. But most importantly, to Polanyi, was the newness of society gained only by gains, I just read this to you, and very rapid end to the social, in which previously mankind had always been embedded, a society in which all members had relations of obligation and reciprocity to all others, gave way to the one in which individuals